Welcome back. Oh, look at that code timing with the announcement. We are live from TGX. Are we good for sound or do we need to wait? We're fine, okay. We are live from TGX, the Game Expo Day 2 here in Melbourne, and we are back with another amazing indie interview for you. It's very loud in here this morning, isn't it? We have Kenn here today. He's going to chat all about his amazing game. And we're gonna give us a minute until this finishes. Yeah. The full experience we're getting this morning. Okay. It's a long announcement. Live streaming is different. It's very different. Okay, we have Kenn here. He's going to talk to us all about his amazing game. So tell us, what's the name of your game?
Okay, so my game is called Future Ghosts.
Yeah, and tell us about it.
All right, so I'll tell you about the story a little bit first, a little. So when you first start playing the game, you are, the player character, his name is Wei Song. Mm-hmm. He's a middle-aged man who has evacuated to Mars with the rest of humanity in the distant future.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of thing that good old Elon would have been very proud of.
Yeah.
But distant future. Our guy Song is climbing a mountain at the beginning, and the player just sort of finishes that climb.
Yep.
He's following coordinates that have been left for him by his missing mother in this very mysterious note that she sent him.
Okay, yep.
So he's following these to the top of this mountain, hoping to find a clue.
Yeah.
He won't find his mother there. She's about 80. She won't have climbed this mountain.
Yep.
So anyway, he gets up there. What he finds up there is quite mysterious. I won't talk about that.
Yeah, spoilers.
On the way down, though, well, the thing is, he is heading down with immortality and having made an enemy of the most powerful person on the planet.
Okay. So there's a lot of mystery elements in this one.
Sure.
And so what's the gameplay like in the game?
So it's all focusing around telling that story. And so I've got quite a mixture of different gameplay elements in there.
Yep.
But centrally, I describe it as being a point and click. Sort of a soft point and click, though. We'll talk about that more in a sec.
Yeah.
With RPG elements, and that includes upgrading your character and then entering turn-based battle, so JRPG style fights.
Awesome. And so tell me more about like the point and click side. So you mentioned soft point and click. What does that mean?
Right. So if you're a fan of point and click in any way, and especially if you had played the older ones, you'll know that some of the puzzles in those are really obscure.
Yeah.
And it can be really bizarre.
It's very just click all over the screen until you find things. Yep.
Yes, and then the example I always use is from Brew Night 3, where there's this notorious puzzle where you have to dress up as a non-player character, particular character, and you have to get a fake mustache. And the way you do that is you get some double-sided tape and you put it under a hole on a fence and wait for a cat to crawl under that hole. And it's really weird sort of stuff going on that doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense. So I've got puzzles that are more like environmental puzzles, and they just sort of make sense in the world. And you're doing things that the character would naturally have to do to solve the situation they're in to progress the story.
So it's very story driven. Very much, you need to work out what to do next as if you're actually there playing the story, not in a kind of, let's just do a random puzzle kind of way.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so where did the idea for the game come from?
So in terms of gameplay, I'm going to go back to Gabriel Knight again.
Yep.
Because, that was a favourite series of mine, obviously, when I was younger. The first game, at the end of that, and I won't spoil it, but there's a moment where actually that same non-player character that I was talking about a moment ago with the mustache, he actually steps up and he does something that solves the final problem in the sort of the atonement moment of the storyline. And I wanted to be able to play that. I wanted, you've been the hero all along, you've been solving all the problems, you've been, solving the mystery. Why didn't you get to play this moment of action?
Like the final,
Yeah, and I mean, there have been games that have done that since with a point and click focus. So, for example, Wedged Eye games do a lot of that sort of stuff. Gemini Rue has that with the shooting mechanic. But even before I had played that one, I was thinking that and thinking to myself, and I think I even said this to a friend at the time, why don't they at least have something pretty simple like a turn-based battle type situation?
Yeah.
You know, it's a relatively easy thing to do, especially if it's just like the one fight, right?
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about stats and stuff too much for that.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they have incorporated something like that to let us feel like the hero at the end there?
Yeah.
And so gameplay-wise, that blend, that concept comes from there originally.
Yeah. And so tell us more about that battle system. So what does that look like? Are we talking like Pokemon? Are we talking like what kind of battle system is it?
Yeah, people have compared it to Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's
a pretty classic comparison, isn't it, for that style of game?
Yeah. The perspective is a little different. So you do have a view of your environment in the backdrop, and this is pretty common for a lot of JRPGs.
Yeah.
But then you don't have the little characters jumping at each other like that for the attacks. Instead, you've got these two relatively static characters. Well, two. I'm saying two because it's two in the current demo.
Yeah.
You'll fight more people at once, and sometimes you'll have party members as well in future battles.
Yeah.
But you've got your characters on screen in a pretty zoomed in sort of view.
Yeah.
And just some basic animation to show you what they are doing at any stage. But then when you use your attack, you've got a really big sort of cut in or pop out sort of animation.
Yeah.
That focuses in on what they're doing, and it's kind of flashy. It's got a little bit of an anime twist to it with the movement lines in the background.
Yeah. Awesome. And so tell me about the art style, because it's got a very like distinctive art style. So is that your background in art?
I'm a teacher.
It's something totally different.
Yeah, I'm an English teacher, and so all of this stuff is just hobby for me.
Yeah.
So the drawing, that is also something that I've done since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of a background in creating animated music videos. I was doing that a lot in the 2000s, and I actually met my music guy by starting to make a music video for him in the COVID days.
Yeah.
The band unfortunately broke up, so that didn't.
COVID did a lot of things.
Well, but and then the drawing though, always a hobby. In the 90s, I had a webcomic.
Yeah.
Self-hosted webcomic, and I called the website The Pine Box because they were horror comics.
Yep.
And that's also where the studio name comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say studio name, but it's just my business name.
It's a studio name. Yeah. Awesome. And so you just really loved that art style, and that just you were like, of course, I love this art style. Yeah. Awesome. And so how long has it been working on the game?
That's kind of a 2 or 3 prong question in a way for me to answer. I initially started working on it about 7 or 8 years ago, and I had one abortive first attempt at it. That demo is actually still available on Itch.io if anyone's really quick and wants to check that out. It's not as good. What I've got now is a lot better, a lot more polished. But the original art style was pretty basic. I was going for a Saturday morning cartoon sort of thing. It ended up looking more like a flash animation. It wasn't that great. There's a lot more to it now. It looks like a comic now. You feel like you're playing a comic now. It's, there's a lot more there. But it took me sort of the lockdown and going through a few things then to sort of reassess and come back to the story, come back to the art style especially, and just sort of reassess and redo things. And then with the current demo that we've got here at TGX, that took about 2 years. Most of that work was on the stuff that you don't necessarily see. So it's all the mechanics and getting the thing to work. So that's all in place now. And there'll be a Steam demo for it as well in probably another couple of months.
All right, so people can look forward to checking it out. If you are at TGX, make sure you get down here and play what's an exclusive demo at the moment. Awesome. So it's been a long journey. What has that looked like? So you're obviously working full time. This is kind of the passion project on the side. So what has that journey been like for you?
For the most part, it's been a lot of head thumping against the computer to get it to do what I want it to do.
It's a bit like that sometimes.
Yes, but I work from home. I'm a teacher, but I work for I don't know if I should name them. I probably won't name them. But yeah.
But you work from home.
I work from home. I'm teaching kids online.
Yeah.
So I get to do a little bit of work on it in my downtime. So in my lunch break or whatever, I can do some work. I can do some drawing or whatever. Other than that, it's evenings.
Yeah. After the kids go to bed is usually when I get a lot of things done. I understand. And so, what was the moment when you really decided, I'm actually going to pursue this as a full game? So you started a few, 7 or 8 years ago. You picked it back up in COVID. So have you had that moment where you're like, actually no, this has got legs. I'm gonna make this. Have you had that moment?
Well, with that first attempt that didn't work out, I actually ran a really small Kickstarter for it to see if people would be interested and see if it would get some traction, and it did.
Yep.
Small, so it succeeded. And that's money that I'm going to be spending to copyright it in the States and stuff like that, because they don't have automatic copyright protections over there. So that money's there ready to use when it's ready to release, which is nice to know about. And that, I guess, was the moment, when the Kickstarter worked.
So you knew even back then that you were like, I need to make this.
Yeah.
It just had to cook a little bit in the background until you got to the point where you were ready.
And I mean, once you got the Kickstarter, you've sort of made a promise to those people too, haven't you?
So, you got that little bit of obligation. That can be both a blessing and a curse as well. So you're like, oh no, now I have to do it. And then you're like, I don't want to because I have to do it. And have you had a moment yet that has really made all of those years worth of work feel worth it?
There have been sort of a couple of moments, and one of them has been here at TGX, and I suppose it's sort of an extended moment, if you can call a day a moment. Yesterday there was a lot of real sort of excitement from people who I don't know, coming up and playing the game and being really enthusiastic about it, and reacting the way I was hoping they would react to the things that I put into the game. Laughing at my jokes.
It's always nice when people do that.
But even before that, getting onto social media again after having put it down for quite a while. Once I had the project sort of picked up to a point where I could show things to people, got back onto the socials, and just having a positive reaction there as well. And it's like, this thing is going to have an audience, it seems like. So those kind of moments.
Yeah, really validating. So this is the first time you've presented at a convention?
It is.
Wow, what a big moment. That's so exciting. And I know, the art style is so captivating, so I can see how people would just stop and look, because it is very different to almost anything I think that's here. It's a very unique art style. From what I've seen. I'm not a JRPG nerd, but awesome. And so we've talked a little bit about it, but have there been any other real high or low moments that you've had throughout this journey?
The others all sort of come on the programming side of things, I would say. The lows are when something breaks. And I've had a couple of those recently. There was one where I'm not sure why I did it. I think I thought I was refactoring and making my code more efficient. But I deleted something I shouldn't. And all of a sudden, my little dude couldn't walk across the screen anymore. He didn't respond to anything. So, things like that are the big downs, and then you spend hours on it, sometimes days, and it's just, you feel like a failure and a fraud and things like
what
this.
What am I doing?
Yes. But then as soon as you solve it, and it might be that you walk away or you come back the next day and it takes you 30 minutes to solve this thing. Those are the highs. Those are the highs.
Yeah, definitely. And are you self-taught, totally coding and everything?
Yeah, I mean, the only formal learning for that stuff I've had is back in high school.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so cool that it's so indie, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Right.
And is it just you on the team?
It is,
mostly?
Apart from that music guy that I mentioned. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And what do you think makes the game unique? Obviously, the art style is a pretty big kind of unique point, but is there anything else that you think really stands out?
Well, unique is kind of a tricky word. I mean, we all put it into our Steam descriptions and stuff, and it's a little loaded because...
it's a buzzword.
Yeah, the minute you say it, people are going to say, no, this game has that, and that game has it, so why are you calling that unique? That's not unique. But so yeah, I feel a little nervous about saying this, but yeah, apart from the art style, number one, as you said, because there are other games that go for a comic book style, and they'll have the frames of the comic and things like this, even as a part of the internals of the gameplay. So, you know, harking back to old things like Comics Zone, which was an old Sega Mega Drive game, I think it was. So that has that in there. And there are other games that are doing that these days too. But they always have a really sort of modern, polished look to their visuals. Yeah. And I mean, it looks gorgeous. Yeah. And I love it. Yeah. But mine is different in that it's retro. Yeah. Okay, so when you're reading it, it's going to feel, not reading it, sorry. When you're playing it, it's going to feel like you're reading a comic book. Yeah. Okay, so you're interacting directly with a comic is how it feels. Yeah. I don't personally get that feeling from those other games, which is not a diss. No. I don't know that they're even going for that. And like I say, I love it. I love what they're doing. But mine has a different feel to it. Yeah. Because of the visuals. Yeah.
So it's almost like a playable comic.
That's it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And do you have a favorite part of the game, or a favorite feature or mechanic or anything like that?
The one fight scene that we got in there so far, which is kind of the tutorial fight scene in the game at present. So if you're here at TGX, please come and check it out. Yeah. You can even just play the fight. So I've got it set up so you can just go straight to that.
Come and do it.
I love that because it's these brothers. They're not exactly brothers. They're adoptive brothers. The main character's been adopted into the family of this other guy. Yeah. And they have a play fight, and it still cracks me up. So there are fight moves. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'll tell you one of the fight moves is stop hitting yourself. And so you grab your brother's fist and you force him to hit himself with his own fist, and it still cracks me up.
Yeah, that's great. I have 4 kids, so I get it. Yeah. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah, that's where I got my inspiration. My kids. Yeah.
What are some of the other inspirations of the game? Have you got any other kind of big inspirations? I know you mentioned a couple.
Yeah, well, comic books, they have to be the biggest. Yeah. So, you know, when I was a kid, I just read every comic book I could get my hands on. I still got a lot of those at home. Yeah. In terms of art style, my favorite artist when I was reading the comics as they were coming out in the 90s was Joe Quesada. He didn't have a very long stretch with Marvel, but I loved what he was doing with X-Men and X Factor. It sort of opened my eyes because he had a more manga style. So he brought a lot of Japanese influence and sort of some larger eyes and things like this. Didn't go full blown disproportionate heads and things like this, which you see in some manga titles, but it's just sort of bringing it in to produce a sort of what do I want to say? Sort of a fusion style. Yeah. And so I sort of tried to bring that into what I was doing at the time as a kid. And then on top of that, manga like Akira, which has a more sort of gritty approach. And that, I think, has influenced my approach to the story as well. Yeah. In terms of producing this vision of the future that it's not exactly utopian, it's not exactly dystopian. Obviously Akira is dystopia, but my world I've tried to create a balance where it feels lived in, and it feels like, you know, it's a real place. Yeah. But it's also because it's Mars, even though if humanity have been there a long time and they've tried to make it more livable, it could still kill you at any minute.
It's got that kind of, it's like not quite apocalyptic, but not quite not apocalyptic.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. And so how can people support the game and the development of the game?
Well, I've got some merch.
Yeah.
So if people feel like coming,
merch.
Yeah, if people want, I've got these t-shirts. If people want to come by and buy some stuff, I'm also offering a $5 discount for people who play the full demo and then leave feedback in the feedback form. They can get $5 off. $5 off also equates to some free merch if they want.
Okay.
I've got some little things as well, some keychains.
Some good deals. And obviously you have a Steam page, so people watching at home, you can wishlist the game. And your social media, where do people need to follow you? Where can they find you?
I'm active on most of them. Just go to it's at Pinebox Games. Everywhere. So
awesome. Definitely make sure you follow Pinebox Games so you can get updates. I know you post a lot of the concept art stuff. When I was looking through your feed, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So if you want to if you're really into the art side of it, definitely follow their socials because you post some really interesting updates. I've noticed. All right, we are up to the very last question, arguably the hardest question of the day. If your game was a coffee or tea blend, what would it be?
Okay. So I had to give this one a lot of thought, and thank you for letting me know this in advance because I would have been completely stumped. So because it's got that retro feel, we're harking back to the 80s, mid-80s in particular. I reckon it's got to be, and I won't say the brand name, but you know the instant coffee that everyone had back then, the Blend 43. Yeah. I mean that was what we had, right, in the mid-80s. We didn't have coffee machines back then.
No.
You didn't put a pot in. There was nothing fancy. We thought that the granulated coffee was fancy. All right. So Future Ghosts is that.
Instant coffee.
Instant coffee. That one from the 80s. Okay. Because it's retro. Because you might think it's fancy at times, but it's not actually fancy because it's just one dude making it in his spare time. And also on top of that, I want to put in that it's a mocha blend. We're going to say it's a mocha blend. Because it's got a little bit of extra flavor. It's a little bit playful. It's a bit fun.
It's got some child and at heart kind of moments in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we love that. Awesome. Well, it has been such a great time getting to be able to hear all about Future Ghosts. Definitely make sure you go and check this one out on Steam and keep an eye out for their demo coming hopefully in a couple of months. Pending Dev Life, Dev Life shenanigans. But we're going to wrap it up there.